There we go. And we're live. All right, guys. I am sitting here with Joshua Thifault. Did I say that right?
Josh Thifault, close enough.
Thifault?
Thifault.
Thifault. Oh, wow. That's what it was. I should have done. I should have asked you how you pronounce it before we went live. This is Josh. Let me see. You did not go. There we go. All right, so you are now on the screen, if I'm understanding this correctly. All right, Josh is the advancement director for Turning Point USA. And I've been following Turning Point for almost a year now on Twitter. I think Josh started following me, and then his boss, Charlie. And I think it was during the women's summit that I started following a bunch of people from Turning Point, and I've been connecting with you guys and just conversing with a lot of different conservatives and libertarians across America, and it's just been an awesome experience to connect with you guys. So I wanted to have someone representing Turning Point come on and talk about what you guys are doing, because I think this would be so interesting for our audience to know what is going on in the world with it. Are there actually young conservatives and young lovers of liberty? So Josh, go ahead. Tell us a little bit about Turning Point for people that have not heard or have heard of it but don't really know what it's about.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that introduction and for giving me the chance to come on. So long story short, Turning Point is a youth conservative millennial organization, and we don't attack political issues from the party angle. We don't attack political issues from working with candidates or anything like that, but rather we focus on principles. So we focus on free market capitalism, limited government, personal liberty, ideas that almost every young person in this country, if they're honest with you and honest with themselves, are all about. I mean, who doesn't want to take more control over their life? So we're on 1,100 campuses. We do a lot of field work, a lot of digital work. We actually reach 31 million Americans a week on digital. So more than anything, our growth isn't showing that we're the absolute best. It's showing that there's a huge need and a huge desire from a lot of young people who used to be leaning left to start leaning right and to start focusing on economic conservative principles when that wasn't really that cool to do 5 years ago if you were our age.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. So, a lot of people that I talk to, they don't. I don't think they would see the same thing that you're saying. That you're saying that millennials are mostly, when you get down to it, they're conservative. So do you want to, get into that just a little bit more? Explain yourself. Explain yourself, Lucy.
Oh, absolutely. So it is true that most millennials are not conservative, but they're a lot more becoming conservative than becoming liberal. I should have been more clear there. All you've got to do is look at the crowd at a Bernie Sanders rally back in the presidential primary, and you'd see that there are a whole lot of young people who love the ideas of free college. There are a whole lot of young people who believe that the world owes them something, and there are a lot of young people that wish that the rich would pay their fair share, whatever that's supposed to mean. So you are correct. Most young people do lean to the left, but one of the big reasons why Turning Point has become bigger and bigger over the past year, as you said, is that so many of those people that were on the left are shifting towards the middle. So many of the students that are on the middle are shifting towards the right. And we just see that by the numbers. We had, here, I'm going to turn off sound on something here. We saw 55 new chapter leaders start Turning Point chapters in a 30-day period around February. You don't see that unless there is a significant culture shift that's beginning on campus.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually, for a very brief time, I was involved with starting a political group in a local college here. I wasn't able to continue with it, but it's very interesting that there is that shift, that there is this interest in politics and an interest in liberty and the principles of liberty. So how I don't think I remember you saying anything about this. How did Turning Point get started? Because it's still a relatively new organization. I also like that you guys call yourself the community organizers of the right. So I'm going to switch to myself real quick. So my degree is in it's urban leadership is the name of my degree. So it's social and conventional enterprise, and that speaks to it's both starting a business or starting a community organization like Turning Point. And Charlie, from what I can tell, Charlie has done that. He basically did it right out of high school, from what I understand. Correct?
Yep, absolutely. Charlie started Turning Point USA back in 2012. He started it right out of his garage. So a lot of us, myself included, who were very involved in the Romney campaign, we were very downtrodden. We thought, oh my goodness, is a conservative ever going to win again? I mean, as it is, whenever you see a great candidate like Mitt Romney beat as badly as he was by Barack Obama. But Charlie's response to that was much different. Well, I kind of took a break from politics. He instead said that he was going to go and he was going to start the, quote, moveon.org of the right. And he did it. He did a lot of the legwork and the hard work. Him and then Crystal Clanton, Bill Montgomery, a lot of the people who were there from pretty much the very beginning. They built it. They built a significant presence in Chicago. They got a lot of interest from some seed funders. They started going national. And I didn't meet Charlie until he spoke at a conference in 2014. And that's when I met him, I dropped out of everything else that I was going to do. And I've been with Turning Point since. It's been a crazy ride. But he started it in his garage. So we have more of a Silicon Valley entrepreneurial feel than a DC political organization feel, which
very grassroots.
Yeah, very grassroots, with a focus on results, with a focus on meritocracy, a lot of things that you don't oftentimes see from young political organizations.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't have, I guess I don't have a lot of background in political organizations, and more of my background is religious and things like that. So yeah, that would be something I wouldn't know too much about, but that's, I find that interesting. I find it interesting that he started that out of high school. Now, did you ever, you've gone to Cedarville, correct?
Yep, Cedarville University, graduated in 2015.
Okay, that was my second question. So you graduated with what was your degree in?
My degree was business administration with a focus on marketing. So I actually only took 2 political classes, and they were part of the Gen Ed core. So I took no specific political science education. A lot of that was self-taught. A lot of that was from the School of Hard Knocks, getting involved with several different political ventures over the last 5 years. So that just goes to show that the best experience that you're going to get is out in the real world. I'm thankful that Cedarville gave me some great business skills. I'm glad I was able to meet a lot of great friends there. If you're looking for a good Christian school, I highly recommend it. But college is not for everybody. It really is not for everybody. A lot of friends of mine have a significant problem with debt right now, and really no great jobs that you probably could have gotten out of high school. And that's something that we see all the time. I mean, the college situation is all about supply and demand. There is a huge demand for a lot of these labor-intensive, and politicians talk about it all the time, but things like plumbers and carpenters and construction workers, all of that. If you get really good at something like that, you can get up to a 6-figure pay grade relatively easily if you're around the right people. Where if that's the option with no college, then why aren't more people doing that instead of going through $200,000 of education and then starting a $40,000 office job? It doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, and that's I actually took 2 years off after high school before going to college. I was actually not intending to go to college, and I went to Word of Life for the for viewers that don't know. I had only intended to go there for 1 year, and then I just got into it more and wanted to be in ministry, and then I wound up going for the degree that I'm in because I wanted to do both business and ministry, and it seemed to be the best path. But as you said, a lot of things are self-taught. A lot of things that and that's a life principle. When you get out of college, you're still learning, and there's so many things that you have to teach yourself. But there's just so many things, with so many things in this world today you just need to teach yourself, because colleges aren't going to give you the education that you need. They like so many colleges are going to they're just going to fail you in that area. But yeah. Let's see. So we talked about the history of Turning Point. And you've talked about the size of Turning Point. How many members do you guys have? How many chapters do you have?
So as far as chapters, somewhere between 300 and 350, I believe, right now, but we're on 1,100 campuses, so hopefully that chapter number is expanding pretty dramatically. But one of the big impacts that we make is by partnering with an existing conservative group. So let's say that we show up on a campus, and right now we're expanding beyond the 1,100 that our field directors reach, and there's a fantastic conservative group. We're going to partner with them and bring speakers to them and provide materials to them before we're going to start our own chapter. So more than anything, we're about the growth of the conservative movement, whether a group calls them a Turning Point chapter or calls themselves something else. We want them at our conferences over the summer. We want them at the regional conferences throughout the year. Because when we have a united front on the conservative side, we win big. The left has done that for a long time. If you don't go in lockstep with the whole cabal that is leftist activism, then you get alienated pretty quickly. Where on the right, oftentimes we're much more splintered. There's no reason for us to be splintered. I think that we should do everything that we can to work together because that's the only way that we're going to win long term.
Right. Because conservatism is about individualism, but I've said it before. Individualism isn't isolationism. It isn't just being entirely independent of everyone. We have to work together, and we have to work together as a community. So when I have a conservative uncle who was a big he was like a Ted Cruz fan. So if you want to like understand what his kind of mindset, and I told him the degree that I was going for in urban leadership. For some reason, I don't know how people make the connection from urban leadership to community organizing, but they do all the time, and that's what it is. That's at least half of what my degree is in. And so he made that connection. He was like, "Oh, so you're going to be like Barack Obama?" And he kind of mocked it, but that's exactly what we need. We need community organizers on the right. We need to be organized, and we need to have an organized front to attack things. I was thinking, I've been hearing a lot about YouTube. So I don't know who you subscribe to on YouTube. I'm sure Steven Crowder has brought this up on his YouTube channel a lot. Do you listen to Steven Crowder?
Yes, every now and then.
Every now. Okay, so I'm subscribed to Steven Crowder, and also Roaming Millennial. I just discovered her. I love her stuff. I'd love to have her on the show. I just, not for any personal reason or anything. Just, but both Roaming Millennial and Steven Crowder have talked about YouTube cracking down on conservative sites, on conservative YouTubers, and Facebook doing the same thing. Facebook kind of downplaying conservative news. And my thought is, why don't we organize against this? I mean, we're half the country. The Republicans are half the country. Not that all Republicans are conservative, but why haven't we organized against this? And that's the path that we need to take if we're going to win in these different areas. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so funny that conservatives have had this stigma against community organizing for so long. But you look at how effective the left has been with community organizing for decades and decades and decades. Instead of looking at them and saying, oh, that's a Democrat activity, how about conservatives show up and they do it better? I mean, we're the ones who create some of the most powerful companies and some of the most wonderful innovations and businesses around the country. Why don't we take some of that knowledge and some of that passion and some of that tenacity and take it into politics? So that's what Turning Point is trying to lead the charge on. And we've seen it in a much larger space with the White House and the people picked for some of the secretary positions. Yeah. It's no longer people who have exclusively been in public service for 40, 50, 60 years with that as their end goal. It's people who have won in the free market, both here and abroad, who are willing to take a step down in their lifestyle and use the skills that they've learned to help organize people digitally or even help organize people in person. You look at how our Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, she ran numerous nonprofit organizations, some of which actually partnered with Turning Point on school choice initiatives.
Yes.
So we have people in the White House, the shot callers, who understand the importance of community organizing. And that's why I believe we're going to accomplish a lot more than the typical Republican White House over the next 3 years.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. I was going to try and Google it. I can't even think of what to Google. But French thinker, early American period, came over to America. Man, the name is just, I'm blanking out. But that's what he realized about America, that he realized that it was our voluntary associations are the backbone of our community. Our churches, our political organizations, all these different things, those are the backbone of American society. And now we're just so dependent on the government, and we need to pull away from that. I can't think of his name. But okay, so I guess we do have some time. So taxes. So we'll go into. You ready for a little controversy here? I mean, roll up your sleeves, because
all right, let's rumble.
Okay, so I never got this about Turning Point. The whole slogan, "Taxation is theft," and even I think it was either Milton Friedman or Ron. I think it was Ron Paul said that it's just a slogan. It doesn't really help anything. I understand an anarchist saying taxation is theft. What I don't understand is a small government conservative saying that. I'm not a fan of income tax. I know you're familiar with the fair tax. I would lean a little bit more towards fair tax, but it's still a tax. So I just go ahead. So what is your thought on that?
So it's a very interesting question, and one that I get a lot. We get both a lot of praise and a lot of criticism for a lot of our slogans and the things we say, just because they are pretty aggressive and oftentimes very thought-provoking. That would be an example of one that we don't mean literally. But what happens when somebody who's not a conservative, someone who's on the left, okay, so here's one thing. Someone was talking to my friend a while back, and they were talking just back and forth about taxes, and he was trying to give him the conservative pitch. And he took him through his paycheck and said, like, oh, you're paying this to the government and this and this and this. And the guy looks up and he said, what? I thought FICA was my employer. So the ignorance that we see right now, especially amongst young people in this country, is ridiculous on the tax issue. Like, money's being taken out of our paychecks, and millions of Americans don't even know what's happening, which is kind of the design of the income tax. So when we send all these people around with shirts and posters, and we have all of our memes and our online graphics that say taxation is theft all over the place, what we're doing is we're not actually saying that there should be no taxes. I mean, we're not anarchists here, but what we're doing is, in the minds of a lot of people on the left who have never thought of taxes as obtrusive in any way, they're realizing on a day-to-day basis, when you go and you buy, let's say that you're in a state that actually has tax on food, like you buy a hamburger, and they're like, oh, so that's 97 cents. Oh, just kidding. It's like $1. It's $1.09. So it changes the way that people process value when they see something like taxation is theft over and over and over again. We don't want people to actually think that taxation is something that we don't need, but it definitely exposes how excessive our taxation situation is right now. For a lot of people, they are giving quite literally more than half of all that they earn to the government.
Right.
And when you look
level of government,
when you look at historically, what do we do as a government when we want to suppress a certain type of behavior? When we have a sin tax on gambling or on cigarettes or on alcohol, what do? We increase the tax on it. So if we really believe that taxing something is going to make the situation worse, then why do we tax everything? We should be taxing things as little as we possibly can.
Yeah. So you guys say it more as a provocateur thing.
In a way, yes. And there are lots, and as the shirt you're wearing, I survived college without being a liberal. Most of our marketing and most of our outreach is, I mean, a literal slogan, something you can take seriously on its own. Taxation is theft it's an exaggeration, it's an extrapolation. And I know you come from this background as well, so this is an example that would resonate. But it's not a bad way to communicate very selectively. I mean, there were times when Jesus was teaching in the New Testament when he liked to use outrageous examples to cause people to think in a different way, like saying that a rich man entering the kingdom of heaven is like a camel going through the eye of a needle. Well, you say, well, that's impossible, like his disciples said. And he's like, yes, but, and then he went on and on. But when you use an example that is ridiculous in an extreme situation where it's actually the other way around, it's very easy to get people to think in a fresh and a new way. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. So I asked for a Turning Point shirt for Christmas. This is the one that I got. I said anyone except for the taxation is theft one, because that's one, like, you know, I understand provocateur, but the taxation is theft. I don't know. There's something with that slogan. But yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and that clears things up definitely. Yeah, cool. Running out of questions. So, I mean, is there anything else that you want to talk about with with Turning Point? We have a few more minutes. It looks like it. I mean, you have an audience of mostly. I'm targeting mostly people that are 35 and older. I haven't started targeting millennials yet. That's my next step. Once I start to get some cash flow for business and things like that.
All right, fantastic. Well, first thing, I mean, here he just said he's looking for cash flow, like people. Start.
Oh yeah.
So hey, you want to invest in Frank? Go right for it. Yeah. But right now, I want to shout out a lot of our summer events. So this June, we're having our Young Women's Leadership Summit. We're expecting 1,000 young ladies, high school and college age. Sorry, guys, you can't come. Maybe next year.
I'm crashing the party. Trust me.
And for the dozen of you who maybe are watching who have said to me, oh, well, we're going to self-identify as women. That doesn't work on this side of the aisle. If it was a liberal women's conference, you could do that all that you wanted to. But if you want to come yourself, if you're in high school or college, or you have a daughter or a granddaughter in that age bracket, go to tpusa.com/YWLS. That's just going to be a marvelous event. We're having Laura Trump there, Laura Ingram, Tommy Lauren, Kellyanne Conway, and a lot of other big names that we're still going to announce. Yeah. So that will be a lot of fun. We have our high school summit coming up later in the summer. More on that later. Stay tuned at tpusa.com. Same with our annual Young Latino Leadership Summit. That'll be a lot of fun. But we're always doing conferences in every region. And if you want to check out what's going on, go to tpusa.com. And if any of you want to interact with me on Twitter, my Twitter name is @Joshua Thifault, THIFAULT. I usually respond unless it's a really stupid question. So if you're a leftist, just don't go attack me because I might roast. But yeah, that's all the info about us. But I want to thank any activists out there that are watching. It's because of you that Turning Point's growing like crazy. It's because of you that the left is running scared. Free speech zones all around the country are just being shattered. Up at Grand Valley State University in Michigan a few weeks back, there was a student who, alongside us, was actually bold enough to sue the school when they were infringing on our group's First Amendment rights and saying that there's only this so many square foot block of campus where you can demonstrate and you can say what you believe. And we actually have students all over the country that are taking on their schools alongside us to break up these unconstitutional free speech zones. Because really, if you're in the United States of America, you're in the greatest, largest, the best, the most tremendous free speech zone in the history of this world. And I'm glad to see that a lot of campus administrators on the right and on the left are finally beginning to realize that.
Yeah. Yep. Wow. All right. Well, so as you said, you can find him at Josh. It's J Thifault. It's at J Thifault.
No, at Joshua
It's
Thifault.
Joshua Thifault. Thifault. I keep saying it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right before we started filming, I was like, "Is there anything else I need to ask you about how to pronounce your name?" There we go. All right, so at Joshua Thifault, and his name is spelled in the title here. And you're on Facebook, and you can find Turning Point USA on Facebook. You guys always have great stuff that you guys post. I just want to I want to share everything you post to my Facebook page, the Frank Talks Facebook page. I just I couldn't just do that for everything. You and Occupy Democrats Logic, they do a lot of really great stuff.
Oh, those posts are great.
Yeah,
yeah. But our digital team has been fantastic.
Yes.
We're very thankful for them.
Yeah. So those are ways that you can connect with Turning Point, and you guys can help them get the conservative message out to millennials. And Josh, I just want to thank you for being on the show. And I know you have to run, so I'm gonna let you go. And hopefully we can do this again later, and we'll talk about more, and I'll have more questions. All right.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure. Keep up what you're doing. This type of YouTube live style commentary is the future of media. So keep learning, keep building that rep.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, so I shall talk to you on Twitter, man.
All right, see ya.
Let's see. All right, so if you want, you can also follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Facebook if you're on YouTube. It's Frank Talks. You can go facebook.com/Frank Talks. You can subscribe below. You can hit the subscribe button. And follow me on Twitter at Frank Percio, at Frank_Percio. I need to get better at plugging all my different social medias that we have. And also, we have our Patreon. We're working on different rewards, and we're changing things as people suggest different things. But if you're interested in supporting what we do financially, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Frank Talks. And that's where we have our members-only content and everything else. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you guys for all your support. And you guys have a good one. All right.